Okay, here's a thought experiment for you. What if, like, instantly, the world you know, how you see everything, just fundamentally changed? Like, what's really left of us, of society, if you take away our most basic sense? Sight. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into a book that's honestly pretty unsettling, but also incredibly insightful. José Saramago's Blindness. Now, you've probably heard of it, right? That novel where this weird white blindness just sweeps across the city. But for our deep dive, we're not just doing a plot summary. No, we want to unpack the really tough questions it asks about humanity. We'll pull out the core ideas from some key bits of the book, kind of give you the essence of this terrifying, but also kind of poetic look at what happens when order just completely falls apart. Basically, getting you the key takeaways, the surprising insights about how people act under extreme pressure without you feeling overwhelmed by, well, the sheer grimness of it all sometimes. We're working directly from excerpts of the novel here, laying out its chilling premise. So Saramago drops us right into this world where the totally unthinkable becomes real. Let's start right there with the main idea. This epidemic, he calls it white blindness, hits this unnamed city. And it's not darkness people see, it's like a blinding white fog. Expert, what feels particularly unsettling about how Saramago introduces this blindness?
Well, right away, what's striking is how he uses this specific kind of blindness, this white fog, to instantly isolate people. And he doesn't even use names, They're just the doctor, the first blind man, the doctor's wife.
Right, no names.
Yeah, and that's not just like a stylistic thing. It feels very deliberate. It signals he's looking at something universal about humans, not just these specific people. He does that a lot in his work. And the blindness itself, being white, not black, it's this overwhelming blankness, almost more disorienting than pure darkness would be, you could argue.
Yeah, that lack of names really drives home the stripping away of individuality you mentioned. And then there's the government's reaction. Panic. Saramago makes you imagine that moment your world just goes white. And how fast the state reacts by basically rounding people up. What's that tell us about, society's first instinct when something completely baffling like this happens?
It tells us fear often wins out over empathy, unfortunately. The first response is quarantine. Herd the first blind people into an abandoned asylum. It's a very stark, almost clinical reaction. And it really sets the stage for how things unravel later. They're not really seen as sick people who need help, but more like a contamination that has to be contained. And that idea of containment, it spirals into dehumanization pretty quickly.
So we move past that initial shock, the quarantine, and we get inside the asylum. This is where, for me, Saramago really gets under your skin, because the horror isn't just the blindness, is it? Can you talk a bit about that rapid collapse of order inside those walls?
Oh, it's incredibly fast. Shockingly so. Saramago's prose is quite spare, but he paints this horrifyingly clear picture without being, overly graphic just for the sake of it. But yeah, feces in the hallways, food becomes incredibly scarce, basic human dignity just erodes almost immediately. You see the blind folks from one ward, the ones who are maybe stronger or just more ruthless, start robbing the newer arrivals. They control the food.
Structure just dissolves.
Completely. It's not just random chaos. It's like the unwritten rules we live by: hygiene, respect, not hurting each other. They just evaporate. It's a very quick slide into, well, a Hobbesian nightmare, really. Life becomes solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short, as Hobbes put it.
So the official response is basically blind, lock them up. Not exactly best practice for public health, is it?
Hardly.
But it's fascinating how that little world inside the asylum sheds its civilized skin so fast. It really makes you think about how fragile our own societal rules are, doesn't it? And maybe how quickly those primal urges come out when basic things like food and safety are gone.
Absolutely. That asylum becomes this perfect microcosm. It shows what happens when structure is just ripped away. It demonstrates that when literal sight goes, often the metaphorical sight, our ability to see each other as human, to feel responsibility, to think about consequences, that goes right along with it. That thin line between order and chaos Saramago talks about, it becomes terrifyingly clear just how thin it is. A really chilling reminder of, well, how delicate the whole social fabric can be.
Okay, but in all this darkness, there's this one key figure, the doctor's wife. She's the only one, miraculously, who keeps her sight. And she makes this incredibly brave, or maybe crazy choice. She pretends she's blind so she can go into the asylum with her husband. She becomes this moral center almost, the silent witness seeing everything. But is it that simple? Does Saramago look at any moral gray areas with her? Does her sight ever feel like a curse, or is it always just about helping?
That's a really sharp question. And yes, he absolutely explores the ambiguity. Her sight isn't just a superpower, it's a profound burden. Think about it. She has to carry the weight of everything she sees, the degradation, the violence, the complete loss of decency. Sure, it lets her act, lets her protect her small group to some extent, but it also isolates her terribly. She sees the horrifying truth when no one else can. Saramago really digs into that ethical weight. What responsibility comes with being the only one who sees? And how does bearing witness change her? Seeing becomes a unique kind of suffering for her.
Wow, yeah, incredible power, but also incredible isolation. Being the only one who knows the truth when everyone else is, well, blind to it. Imagine carrying that alone, what that does to you. So let's zoom out a bit. What does this all mean for the world outside the asylum? Because the book makes it clear, right? Society out there eventually goes the same way. The epidemic spreads. The asylum was just the start. How does Saramago lift this from just being, a scary disaster story into something more philosophical?
Well, that's where it gets really compelling, I think. The physical blindness becomes this potent metaphor for deeper societal blindnesses. Saramago isn't just writing about a disease, he's really dissecting the human condition itself. The novel becomes this, yes, terrifying, but also strangely poetic meditation on human nature, what community actually means, and how quickly those fundamental agreements we rely on can just unravel when things get tough.
Right.
It forces us, the readers, to confront how much of our order relies on things we just assume are stable. Not just literal sight, but our capacity for empathy, for seeing shared humanity, for keeping those unwritten social contracts going. It's like he holds up a mirror to our own vulnerabilities, showing us that, when we become blind to other people's suffering or blind to the consequences of what we do, we're already kind of halfway to the chaos of that asylum.
And it definitely makes you think about the real world, doesn't it? Like, how would our societies react if core systems just failed? Or if some crisis stripped away all the comfortable illusions we have about order, makes you question what we actually value and what blind spots we might have right now without even realizing it. So, recapping our journey through Saramago's Blindness, we've seen the incredibly quick collapse of order, some pretty stark truths about human nature under pressure, and the really powerful but also deeply isolating role of that one person who could still see.
And I think if Saramago is suggesting that the real blindness isn't just about literally not seeing, but maybe about our ability or inability to connect, to have empathy, it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What are the invisible threats to our own social order? The things we might be collectively overlooking right now?
It's a heavy book, but truly profound. It sticks with you. We definitely encourage you, if you haven't, consider reading the whole novel. It's an experience. You won't easily forget it.